what do you feel about we got really bullish news, obviously, on the RH court case with the corrupt SEC from back on when was that even? That was Halloween. Wow. When that took place, at this point, everybody's like seeing the transcripts, like seeing everything that Judge Carroll and the attorneys on both sides went over. There's been like awesome role plays of it and AI versions of it and stuff like that you can listen to. It's been really good. So what's kind of your takeaway on what do you think may happen? Now, again, I don't really think any result's going to affect the price all that much other than maybe short-term swings. I think we're going to do what we're going to do in this cycle, and that's just going to be the way it is, kind of how you already laid out. But just, for the argument and to see what's going to happen with this case, what do you think we may get news-wise? Are you looking at like, there's going to be a total dismissal? Is she going to say, well, they brought this suit forward, we're still going to hear it, even though you guys seem like you don't really know what you're talking about, we're going to move forward, partial dismissal? What do you think we're going to see here?
So this is my total speculation and unprofessional legal opinion, is that we're going to see the SEC pull the suit because they're standing on freaking shaky ground. They don't have any good claims. Their draft is trash, and it got completely dismantled in the hearing. And I don't see how they would want to take that to trial on any of the counts that they're trying to go after, whether it be on the fraud point, which is one of my favorites to talk about, because look, if Richard basically came out and said, hey, you are sacrificing for a political movement. You are giving your coins away. You are getting 0 coins back. You're not getting your coins back. You are giving them away for the freedom of speech, and then for the freedom of movement, and thus implied as for the freedom to transact. And if they were to try to rule on that and say that Richard did intend to use those sacrifice funds for the development of Pulse Chain, which was never said, there was a no expectations disclaimer, then they're basically saying that guy, first of all, said something he didn't say, and that they can also tell him what he can and cannot do with his money, as well as us as participants in it saying what we can and cannot do with our money. And so they're very going after that fraud point as infringing on our freedom to transact, which is why we've sacrificed for that political movement in the first place. And so it's like he's got them triangulated in their crosshair, and like there's no way they can go on that fraud case. Then you get the issue of jurisdiction, which is like, well, he's broadcasting this globally to everyone in the world, and the SEC doesn't have the power to rule over globally, right? They only have within our national borders, and so it wasn't directed at American citizens. I mean, he just speaks publicly on a public forum online, and anybody's free to interact in the way they see fit. You can't take away people's rights to be free and do free things, right? And so the jurisdictional part kind of broke down when the lawyer asked, well, where's the blockchain? Where does the blockchain live?
Yeah.
And of course, they make all these claims about where the money was sent from, and that all that is irrelevant. That has no bearing on the outcome. And then there was like the problem with the chronology of it. Like, I was there, and it's just so funny because like they kept conflating different time periods with different things Richard said over the course of time. And they had all their facts wrong when it came to the adoption amplifier for hacks and this offering for these other sacrifices. It's just their timeline was so messed up, and they had a big bulletin board, which RG3 won at the seminar day. He won the bulletin board that they had the chronology on, where it's just like, this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong, and the timing of it.
You guys all autographed that, didn't you?
I think we did. I think we did. Yeah,
that's cool.
And here's Frank saying that Nuclear Herbs gave the bottom line breakdown that eased my mind about the lawsuit. And I got the pleasure of meeting him, talking to him, and then being on stage with him at the seminar and talking a little bit about these ideas. And it just seems like he and I both agree that they just don't really have a very strong case. And Richard's lawyers basically dismantled them.
Yeah. That's the take I got. Could you tell in the judges, like, I know they're trained to not give facial expressions too much, but was she like rolling her eyes at these guys at all? Like, could you tell her giving any of those vibes? Like, guys, you got nothing. And I know she corrected him a couple times, and just by reading the transcript and seeing it play out by the couple of people that kind of reenacted it and the AI one.
Yeah, I think maybe you could have picked up very subtly on some of her frustrations where the SEC was talking in circles, but no, she didn't really let up too much. You had to be pretty perceptive to pick up on those. It was more just like when they had no good reply, she would move on to the next point, or she would ask the next question.
I think you could tell even from watching a role play or listening to or just reading the transcript, she definitely was grilling them about, because it's embarrassing. Like they dropped the alter ego thing, which I mean, it should have never been in there to begin with, but you could tell she had to like push and push and push this guy until he admitted like, yeah, essentially what we're trying to say is that's not part of the case anymore, you know? So yeah,
thank you for bringing that part up. Yeah, that was important. That was, they dropping that in the first opening statements was like, I was like, what did he just
right?
What are you guys doing?
And it was the way he went about it too. Like he didn't just confidently say it. She had to like pull it out of him, you know, over a few steps. So I found that really interesting. And I tell you what you're saying here about the SEC pulling it. I mean, there is at least increasing possibility of that happening with the things that are now, you know, things we couldn't have said 3 weeks ago. We've got a Trump presidency. He's already floating. Her name's Teresa Goody Guillen, I believe. She was with the SEC before. She's an attorney now. She is pro crypto, but Trump was already trying to tab her as the new head of the SEC. Gary's already pretty much drafted like a "I'm out of here" type statement or something like that. So I think there could be real validity to that. I guess we're just going to have to see how these things play out time-wise. But I mean, worst case scenario, and Frank in the chat, you kind of laid this out a minute ago. Nuclear Herbs, I think, is setting us all at ease because even he was like, hey, worst case scenario here is like this thing continues on. There's not a dismissal, or there's probably a partial dismissal, and this just ends up in a settlement eventually, and we're done. You know, this isn't anything that's there isn't going to be like the SEC 1 type of a scenario. And if it was, it would just be that they were able to shake down Richard, which is what this all is anyway, you know?
Yeah.